look at this thing. It looks like a tablet, but it's not just a tablet. It's really more of a laptop, but it doesn't have a traditional laptop keyboard. Instead, it has this touch-sensitive surface that lights up like a keyboard, but also doubles as a writing pad. This thing is Lenovo's Yoga Book, and it's what Lenovo thinks is the future of computing. Yes, the same Lenovo that makes big, heavy ThinkPads and has made 13-inch convertible laptops has made this thing, this thin and ridiculously light computer that feels more like a paper notebook than anything else. So does it hold up? Looks-wise and design-wise, yes. This thing is a stunner. Actually, typing on it is a different story. Still, Lenovo has managed to make something that feels totally futuristic and still familiar. There are two versions of the Yoga Book, an Android one and a Windows one. The Android one is a little bit less expensive at $500, and the Windows one jumps up to $550. But to me, the Android one is probably the one you're going to want to get because it feels more like a mobile computing device than a super heavy-duty productivity machine. It's made of magnesium aluminum alloy, and it has a full HD 10.1-inch multi-touch display. It has the same watch band style hinge that Lenovo's bigger yoga laptops have, which is what allows it to fold into different modes. The Yoga Book weighs just 1.5 pounds, which puts it close to the same territory as an iPad Pro plus Smart Keyboard, but oddly enough, it feels much lighter than that. And it's definitely lighter than a Microsoft Surface and the Microsoft Surface keyboard. I mean, put it this way, when you're carrying those around, there's no doubt that you're carrying a tablet. But with this, you really can mistake it for a notebook. So not surprisingly, there are some sacrifices when you're working with such a tiny computer. The first is that it's so light that it sometimes doesn't balance very well on your lap. And then just like Apple's MacBook, there's a shortage of ports. It has a micro USB charging port, an HDMI port, a micro SD port, and a headphone jack, and that's pretty much it. No USB. And its Intel Atom processor, which is in both the Android and Windows models, isn't the most powerful one out there. Its battery life isn't great either, at least by tablet standards. Lenovo says that you should get about 15 hours with general usage of this, but I didn't get anywhere near that. So let's get to what makes this different, the Halo keyboard. Once you put this into laptop mode, this matte black lower panel turns into a glowing digital keyboard. It also vibrates a little bit when you tap at it, but you do get the sense that the whole panel is moving and not the isolated keys you're typing on. You can also use Lenovo's Real Pen as a stylus, or you can put a pen tip in the stylus, slap a piece of paper over the touchpad panel, and then write on the piece of paper. As a journalist, I like the idea, but in reality, this surface is probably more appealing to designers or people who use styluses and digitizer pads to control multimedia software. After a few days of using the Yoga Book's keyboard, I still don't feel totally used to it, but just like typing on a touchscreen, it's something I probably would get used to. It's also more comfortable than typing on a touchscreen that forces you to prop your hands up and blocks half of your display. The question isn't whether this is better than a tablet touchscreen keyboard, because I think it is. The question is whether it's better than a light accessory keyboard like the iPad Pro Smart Keyboard or the Microsoft Surface keyboard. Personally, I still prefer a little bit more tactility when I'm typing, even if it means using a flimsy accessory keyboard. Really, the only other thing to consider is the software. I still think Android is the way to go, although some people might want Windows if they're using this as a travel laptop or a secondary device to their main Windows machine. It ships running Android Marshmallow, not Nougat, but Lenovo has added its own multitasking features to the software to make it a little bit more desktop-like on what is a mobile OS. It is worth noting, though, that multitasking isn't supported in all apps. There are a lot of reasons to seriously consider the Yoga Book. I mean, the first being it looks cool. It's a sleek little computer with an innovative keyboard. And also it's one of those rare instances where a convertible or a two-in-one actually makes sense because it's great to use as a tablet too. The biggest drawbacks are that it's not super powerful and lacks some basic utility ports. And some people just won't like the feel of the keyboard. It's not going to replace that feeling of a real laptop. But it's not really supposed to replace your laptop. It's meant to reinvent the laptop. Designs like these are supposed to usher PCs into the next wave of mobile computing. Lots of companies have thrown different PC designs at the wall in recent years, hoping they would stick. But the Lenovo Yoga Book feels like it actually might.
Okay, so we're behind the scenes. This is Lauren. All right, here we go. Okay, ready, and hit it. hit the button. Okay, reach your arm around and start typing.